Dale, welcome to the Retail Whore Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited that you agreed to do this. I mean, one, I've known you what feels like forever. You work in the industry. Are you sales manager for Katin?
I would be all the above. So VP of sales, oversee global sales management, anything to do with sales, I'm touching.
I've known you for, I mean, I think we go back to my days at Fred Siegel when I don't know which line you worked for. I just know I've known you forever and a day, and you've been in retail and the apparel industry forever.
I've been in for 114 years. I'm going on my fourth. I mean, it's been 40 years. I started at 18 in the clothing business. So yeah, it's been a long time, but it does still feel like yesterday.
Doesn't it? It's crazy. What I love is like when you send over your bio, because I never know, I know people from the industry, but I never really know their backstory. And when you sent your bio in, both Elisa and I were like, oh my God, straight up 80s. You worked for CampBeverly Hills and for the Marciano brothers for Guess. I so want to dig into this because a lot of people, what they don't realize, especially the young ones, what they don't realize, what back in the day retail used to look like, and how, I always say this, abundant and loud and exciting, and like you're dealing with celebrities, like it's a whole nother world than what retail is now. So I want to hear a little bit about your start in retail.
So it started about, I think 17 or 18. I was hired by the Marcianos salesman on the floor. And the store was called MGA, which stood for Maurice, George, and Armand. Those are the brothers and owners of Guess Jeans, Marcianos. And I started on the floor and I was selling to like Heather Locklear and all the big stars of the 80s. They were coming in, getting their Guess jeans or Stonewash jackets. And, I was at the Promenade Mall in Woodland Hills. So, it was pretty fancy. And, I grew up super poor in the, Section 8 projects in Canoga Park. So,
wow, really?
Yeah. So I was a surfer, I had that look and, they hired me. So I kind of like, and I had the confidence and, but it was neat. Yeah. That's where I kind of cut my teeth, in the retail. So I worked for the Marcianos for a while and,
did the brothers themselves hire you, or was it different, like hiring?
It was a manager. Her name was Lisa. I forgot her last name. But we would hang out with the Marcianos because they were so good to us. So not only did they pay us like a nice premium hourly wage, but they gave us that 1% commission. So we had to do $10,000 in business a month, and anything over that was 1% commission. So they knew how to incentivize us, and they taught us about the black book, always writing down what we sold to the last celebrity. So when they came in, we knew we were going to sell them the black wash denim or whatever it was. So like these guys were like way before their time. They were very keen. And then they would take us to Spago, for, dinners, and they'd bring the whole team there, and we would go to Spagos in Beverly Hills, and, and being a poor kid, this was like very glittery and really cool. And I thought like, wow, this is pretty neat, So great crew, great people to work for. So I worked there for a few years while I was in high school. And then after MGA, I kind of moved over to CampBeverly Hills. So which was in the Topanga Mall. And CampBeverly Hills had the bright sweatshirts, everything was bright. We wore 14-inch pegged chinos with the bright polos, flipped up.
Popped collar.
Yeah, and that was like the beginning of the new wave, the new wave movement, and going in the clubs. We were going to the nightclubs as well, Odyssey and Country Club and Phases. And the what else was there? All the little clubs on Hollywood Boulevard, and Power Tools and seeing the, Red Hot Chili Peppers, their very first gig at Power Tools when they came out with socks on their whats.
I'm
So
like dying right now. I'm like, just what you're, okay. For those who don't know what the Odyssey is, like okay, so how old are you?
I will be 59 this Sunday.
Holy shit. What?
Yes.
Wow, you look amazing. So
Uh,
we're about the same age. So I'm 56. And it's like back in the day in LA, the club was like the club to go was the Odyssey. And it's like, I still remember sneaking out of my house and going in a car with, I don't know how many people, but the car broke down. So we're now downtown, wherever it wasn't downtown, but wherever the Odyssey is,
it was
without a car.
it was across the street from the Beverly Center.
That's right.
Yep.
So we're there without a car, and it's like 4 a.m, and I'm supposed to be at my friend's house because I was staying at, quote, my friend's house, and we're now without a car. Do you remember Cooter and Ricky, the two gay guys that would like the most amazing dancers? Like,
There was a lot of great dancers there, but yeah.
I got in so much trouble. I had to show up at my dad's office downtown. Like somehow we made it to downtown LA. I had to go to show up at my dad's office. Okay, you're reeking of cloves. You've been drinking. You're not supposed. You're way underage, and had to stroll into my dad's office and like, because my parents are divorced. Can you please give us $50 so we can get a tire fixed or whatever? What I have never been in so much trouble in my entire life, but it was so worth it.
Yeah, we used to go there. We'd dance till 3 or 4 in the morning. Then we would pack up the car with a bunch of people. We would go down to Zuma Beach. We would crawl on top of the food stand. We would go to sleep for 2 hours, and then we would wake up and go surfing. And we'd surf all day. And it was just like we did that pretty much every night and working. So, it was a great time. And yeah, I learned a lot. I mean, I worked a lot of retail, and the 80s was an amazing time. And then you also had Cattle Barons, which is right across the street from the Odyssey.
Remember that one?
And, yep. And then you had Walla, which was in the Beverly Center. And we used to hang out there with Prince, O.J. Simpson, Marcus Allen, all the big celebrities. And they liked us because we're all surfers, blonde hair, we were dancers too. And so, and that was a time when like everyone was chill, everyone hung out with each other. There was no separation. So the 80s were rock star status.
It's my days of Fred Siegel. It's funny because I'm still friends with the AC Cowlings, and OJ and Marcus Allen, all those guys were always, I mean, the days of celebrities and that intermingling and that intimate contact or that intimate relationship you have with them, because the paparazzi is the only one thing that was going on. You didn't have phones where you could whip them out and start filming celebrities. It was such a different relationship you were able to have, like yeah, and everybody was one-on-one, like everyone like hung out together. There was no I'm a celebrity or I'm higher than thou. It's like one big happy family.
Yeah, it was great. And the fashion was really cool then. And there's the 80s is always coming back in each decade of fashion, the bright colors, the silhouettes, especially in the surf world. They always kind of go back to the 80s because it was a fun time, and it was bright, vibrant, positive. So yeah, so I miss those days. But we're here in 2022 now. So how long were you at the retail level before where else did you work in wholesale? So I worked, my first job was MGA, then it was CampBeverly Hills, then I worked at Val Surf. So I was a surfing athlete, and I started late, but in high school I played baseball. And then when I was in college, I was on the surf team. And then so I dual sported. So, I cut my teeth, 18 through probably 23, 24. So I worked quite a bit of retail, and then that transcended into being a rep. And then I was a rep for many years. I carried multiple lines, accessories.
Like road rep or in a showroom rep?
A road rep. I was a road rep. Yeah, I was never a showroom rep. So I was a road rep doing pretty much all of California for probably 10 to 12 different brands, clothing, accessories, shoes, eyewear. So I had this little van, this little Ford Astro van, and I would fill it up with all the goods, my surfboard wetsuits, and I would cruise up and down the coast. I'd be surfing everywhere, selling to all the accounts. And I did that for a really long time. And then Bob Hurley hired me in 1990, the end of 1999, to handle sales for Hurley.
The surf industry is so near and dear to me. I mean, I don't know if you know, Dave used to surf pro when he was younger, like total Grom. And he, by the way, side note, is like dying about the surf ranch.
Yeah.
I was like, look, Dale's at the ranch again. And he's like, I don't even want to. For those of you who don't know, Kelly Slater opened a wave pool facility that's out by Fresno called the Ranch. And very few people have been able to go. Our friend Terry Harvey has gone. You've gone several times. It is the most perfect wave that you could actually surf. And it just barrels one after another after another.
Yeah, it's actually a dreamland.
Oh.
It's quite expensive, but man, it's well worth it. And I've been blessed to have the opportunity to go there a few times, and it's nice. So,
but the surf industry, though, for me, it goes back for me when I had my stores at Fred Siegel. I had Fred Siegel Comfort, which was, back in the day, like I think it was the 90s. So Stussy, Quicksilver, Spot Sport, Pirate Surf. Talk about some old names, like who was some of that, but that's where I think I know you from, is during that day, because I mean, that industry, to be honest with you, I think the surf industry is one of the most exciting, vibrant industries that's out there as far as retail. And I very much miss being in that part of retail. Like none of my accounts are have anything to do with surf anymore, but that to me is still like so in my heart for the industry. So it's always, the ASR days of those were some of the most exciting, vibrant, amazing shows. I still compare everything to ASR because it was always just like this, like magic is nothing compared to what, ASR was back in the day.
yeah, I mean, ASR was a party. It was like a party of that kind of clickety click surf industry folks. So you had the big athletes, you had the vendors, you had the retailers, you had them all, and they would work hard all day, every day. Those were like 4 or 5 day events, and then you partied every night. And you came in early and you grinded it out. The surf world is such an amazing world. It's a different clientele, and it's a lifestyle. And we all have a passion for the ocean and surfing. As well as passion for fashion. So it's been good to me. And the surf world now is really, really large and really has made a huge comeback after COVID. So we have like 3 million new like surfers in North America, and these new surfers. So it's really boosted up our business.
So how long did you rep for Hurley, and how, like back in the day, industry wise, what are the differences now that you're seeing compared to back in the day? Not only just style, but just the industry as a whole.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's different now. I mean, repping back then, you can have multiple lines, you're making full pop commission. You weren't, accounts weren't taken away from you. It was like the wild, wild west. You just went, you sold the product, you sent in the orders via fax machine. And, did we have phone? We didn't have like cell phones
Those
yet.
big ass bricks, remember those?
Yeah, those big bricks. But we had, I think cell phones were around like in the early 2000s. I could be wrong, but yeah, so it was a lot different, a lot more work. Gas was cheaper. Traveling was cheaper. So, and it was fun. Today, it's a lot different. It's, less commission, very expensive to be a road rep. Samples were more expensive. The pool of salesmen is narrowed down. So if you've got the good brands, you're making money. If you don't, then it's a rough go. But far as the retail part of the surf industry or this industry, it's amazing. I mean, great retailers. I mean, we had the cleansing of '08 after the housing market, or '09,
Yep.
and a lot of retailers dropped off. And it made way for those A-listers to stand strong and, capture the other customers that were lost by the smaller mom and pops. So yeah, it's alive and well.
So now with, because the crash, we all know a lot of people. So has your industry, because the gift industry got hit really hard with, post-pandemic or during the pandemic closure, a lot of gift retailers, a lot of them are our age and are not comfortable being on camera and going live. And honestly, that was the stores that made it, at least for the gift industry. I'm not so sure about the apparel, but the stores that really made it are the ones who were able to pivot really fast and went live and were, doing, everything they could on social media. And there's a whole giant amount of retailers, old school retailers, that were not comfortable doing that. They never did it. They didn't even have a website that was up. And did the surf industry, did your industry experience that as much as like for our industry, the gift industry?
So they had to pivot quick. They had to have websites built. They had to learn that you couldn't just build a site and the people were going to come.
Yeah.
They had to learn about analytics and everything on the back end and how to drive the business and paid advertising and, Google search and Facebook and Instagram. Like, they had to have a quick tutorial how to pivot and succeed. And quite a few of them did. So COVID forced the hand of most retailers to have a online, presence.
Yeah.
The Katin brand, we live in a lot of different environments. Yeah, we're rooted in surf and, of 68 years of surfing history, but our strengths are in outdoor retailers, men's boutique, and a lot of those popped up in the last 2 years. And they're kind of multifaceted. So, they've learned to, have, housewares, menswear, candles, books, they really kind of creatively curated amazing items to capture that end user. So, a lot of people got smart and a lot of people got really good. So it forced the hand.
Well, it almost feels like, for the stores that are like tried and true surf stores, I think that it feels like a lot of them have kind of like taken on that lifestyle vibe, like you just said, like candles and have created a lifestyle versus, this is the clothes that you go out and surf and, whatever, but more of like, this is our life. Kelly Slater's store, outerwear, the Outer Known's like a very good example of that curation of a lifestyle store.
Yeah, well, and then brands like Outer Known and Kate, we bring sustainability to the conversation as well. So, where we sell a lot of like certified organic cottons, reprieve goods, nylons, recycled goods. So, that really helped as well for brands like Outer Known and the Katin brand and a few others that kind of elevated them over the big surf brands. The big surf brands got so big and they were, distributed everywhere, and they took a bad hit, let's just say. I mean, where, they took a bad hit. The mid-level guys rose, they rose to the occasion. And that end user, there's the baby boomers, they're teenagers now, and there's millions of them, and they want something different. So, I think our industry in a whole is going to be very, very, healthy for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Because, surf lifestyle is something that everybody can do, even the people in the Midwest. They may not surf, but they want to look the part.
Yeah.
And they want to look cool. So I'm pretty excited, where some people are a little, bearish of the future. And in these untrying times and challenging times, as long as we're not watching the news and watching the negative, you're out in the real world and you're traveling and surfing and shopping, there's a lot of positive things out there. So
What I love is, like, I've always said this, I love change. And my phrase has always been change is good, change is good. And it's like, I kind of am loving watching how everything is evolving now, as you know, and we're able to see it like literally in real time versus like a slow change as styles and whatnot. But it's like literally evolving like as like at the moment. Do you have, because I saw this a lot at Magic last year. I didn't see it over in the area like project where you guys were, but where all these bloggers and all these like Instagram and TikTok people that have sales, like the influencer sales that sell product. Did you see any of them going live? Like at Magic, I was watching, and this is what, when I look at the industry as a whole, like how crazy and different and changing it is and how cool like the involvement is happening, is there's girls that will have their influencers and they have online stores or whatever. I don't even think they have brick and mortars. And they are literally walking around with the ring, with the camera, and going live in their appointments. They've picked out what they're doing. They've given it prices. Their girlfriend's putting it on. They're like, and this, and blah, blah, blah. And they're taking orders live and then turning around and saying, we'll take 10 packs. We'll take blah, blah, blah. Are you seeing that on your end for the where it's like influencer driven?
Not in our world. And I think that kind of influence stuff is, I think it's kind of like fast fashion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're selling stuff and they're on to something else. I
Yeah.
mean, I oversee and manage a brand that has 68 years of American history. And so it's, you know, it's a journey. We're in no race to finish. Our main goal is really to build amazing product at a great price. Attention to detail, quality, durability. That's our gig, and that's why we're winning. So the other stuff, I'm not real in tune with influencers, but what I see, it just seems like it's very fast. It's fast and on, and then you got the next one, and then it's sensory overload, to be honest. So, so for a brand like ours, it's the slow and steady race, and in building great product wins at the register.
Katin's been around for 65 years. Tell everyone a little bit about the history of it. I think that is the only store that Katin has is the small one in Huntington.
Yeah,
or there more.
So it's been around 68 years. Nancy and Walter Katin were boat cover makers in the Huntington Harbor area. So they made nylon boat covers. And a surfer by the name of Corky Carroll came into the shop in the early 50s and said, hey, we're tired of surfing in our cutoff jeans. Can you make a pair of board shorts out of that 100-pound nylon? And so Nancy and Walter built a board short. And Corky Carroll wore that board short, surfed in it, and soon after it became like wildfire. And all the local surfers were coming to the shop asking them to build board shorts, and they changed that boat cover business into the surf shop that it is today, Canvas by Katin. So what we do here at Katin is we tell the Nancy and Walter story. We tell the story through the product, and we move that along. At the same time, they at that time, Nancy and Walter, they brought on a young lady named Sato Hughes. She was a Japanese immigrant that worked in their local dry cleaning store, and they plucked her out of the dry cleaning business and brought her into the shop to do all the alterations.
Wow.
And then when they passed away, they gave that business to Sato Hughes.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
Yeah, so Sato Hughes is 93, 94 right now. She's retired, but she's our partner. And so we tell her story as well. And it's all about durability, good looks. So
wow, that's amazing. I love that story. So she's obviously not involved, on a day-to-day level, but was there somebody that came up in her shoes that is,
No, because so what they do is they have a little area in that shop where you can come in and get your customs. So they're not doing that anymore, but they have a host of board shorts that they still have. And I'm sure that we're building board shorts that they can sell as well. yeah, it was a great journey for her. And
Amazing.
when COVID came, she just like, and the stores were shut down, so she got used to staying home. And then she
She
was
was
just,
still going to work at 90 something.
yeah,
I mean,
she was going to work until 92, and
wow.
she was taking the bus to the shop and building product every day.
Oh
And
my God.
and then COVID came, and she just stayed home. And then, she was getting older and just decided, hey, that's it for me. So she's in a beautiful home and just, writing out her days.
Wow, that's an amazing story. I love that.
It's a great story, and we're all so close to her. And so
So the brand Katin, so the store and then the brand are separate. So how,
my employer, Mac Bew, and his family, they own the brand. They're partners with Sato Hughes and Sato Hughes' son, Glenn Hughes, who runs the shop. So they're partners. And so they've had the brand. I think Max had the brand for probably he's been running it. He was a licensee for probably about 13 years. And then about 5 years ago, he was able to buy the brand to be a partner. And then he brought me on 10 years ago. And so I helped build sales infrastructure and get the ball rolling. And him and I have been just dredging the path this whole time. And, him and I still go. We set up the booths, we break them down, we chop wood and carry water at the same time. So whatever needs to get done, we do it. And we've been blessed to have the most amazing team. When you have a great team, that's all the difference. So
yeah.
we have a phenomenal team, design group, marketing team, back end, shipping. So yeah,
How many rep groups do you have, or do you guys do you guys just do it?
we do it all. And so I
Really?
oversee 9 countries in Europe. So we have a sales management team in Biarritz. They have a showroom there. So they
Wow.
oversee the 9 countries. I oversee all North America, Uruguay, South Korea. Pretty much I oversee all the sales and then oversee all the reps and managers. So we probably have about 20 sales agents in total.
Wow. And then do you travel to all those places occasionally, or do you, because I know you do
travel.
North America.
Yeah, so I travel. No, I travel to Europe. I was traveling there quite a bit before COVID, doing the sales meetings and presenting the collections. In contact with most everyone on a daily basis. But yeah, I travel all in North America, everywhere. So I do quite a bit of traveling.
How has the line evolved from the beginning till now? Because now, don't you do women's as well?
Don't do women's, we do boys. We just broke
Okay.
with our boys collection this spring. And that's been going really, really well. So we wanted to have kind of, we talked about men or women's for quite some time, but that takes a whole team, a new team, a women's team, and that's quite expensive. So we thought the easier route would be cradle to the grave in the men's department. So starting with boys and working their way all the way up through men's. And that's really our strong suit. And we want to stay, in our lane and not try to do too many other things.
Yeah, smart.
But we've introduced towels and socks and now boys, and we've had great success. We've had a phenomenal last 3 years. And even this year is really surprising considering, the noise in the market of a possible recession. But we haven't seen too much of any slowing.
Yeah.
So we're grateful for that, and we hope it continues.
What is your thought? Because I know that everybody's complaint, a lot of people's complaint in the gift industry is the whole Amazon thing. What is your philosophy? Because I know my philosophy. It'd be interesting to know your philosophy is.
Well, I like to
Well, Amazon compared to brick and mortar. That's what.
Yeah, I like to protect my retailers. I don't sell Amazon, and maybe one day there'll be a conversation, but I've been here 10 years and that's not like in the cards for us.
I like that.
I want to protect my retailers. We don't build let's say, I don't open retailers on top of retailers. We pick the best retailers in the country and we build from within. So we start small and then we build into tables and we build into wall units and we build a great business and we become strong partners with our retailers. And to sell discounted onliners would be kind of slap in the face to our retailer. And, you know, we don't sell Macy's and PacSun, and we just don't. Our biggest retailer is Urban Outfitters, which has been a strong retailer for 10 years now. And they've been very good to us, and we're good to them. So that's our big anchor, and the rest are, you know, men's boutique, both resorts, surf, outdoor retailers. So we have a bunch of different silos that we sell to, and it's been a proven sales channel for us.
Well, you guys are particular about, you're not, you know, there's so many brands that hoard out that they'll sell to whoever just to get foot in the door. And it's like, I love that you've protected the brand intentionally based on the retailers that you're selling. And it's not just to get a foot in the door everywhere for just the sale.
I think I made those mistakes early on in my career as a sales rep, selling everyone. And then, you know, there's no shortcuts in this industry. And it's funny, the great Fred Siegel, who's a dear friend of mine, and he told me, for Freddie's an amazing human. And he told me one time, he goes, Dale, there's no shortcuts in life. There's no free lunches. I'm like, what do you mean, Fred? He goes, if you do something, you're going to pay for it. No ifs, ands, or buts. So be loyal, you know, be loyal to your retailers and build from within, and they'll be good to you. And I kind of took that to heart when we were doing Katin. We just said, hey, you know, even my employer was like, hey, let's just sell the best of the best. There's no rush. There's no rush. We don't have to run down the hill and grab every single person. You know, let's walk down the hill and grab one at a time and become great partners, build great product, and, you know, always have their best interests at hand, and always be mindful of what's ringing at the register. You know what I mean? Instead of selling the product and running to the next person, and so on and so forth. And it's been proven success for us in 10 years of business, or at least the 10 years I've been here.
So let me ask you a question, because you just mentioned Freddie. Did you sell to Freddie, or did you sell to Ron Robinson, or how?
Well, I sold to Ron Robinson too, but I live in Malibu. And back in the 80s, I used to go to Fred Siegel's at Cross Creek, which was one of the greatest retail stores and concepts ever. Yeah. No one did it better. And Fred, you know, I've known Fred, I've known Sharon, I've sold Sharon in Santa Monica when I had this little brand called Drill Clothing in 1993. But yeah, and Fred lives in Malibu. And so,
yeah, you know, he passed away.
Yep. Lived. And so yeah, we were I'd see him every once in a while.
He I think, you know, I had stores there. He was my mentor. And he, you know, I lived on the ranch for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And it's like, I so miss that. I miss the lifestyle of Malibu. I miss the community of Malibu. And it's like, I'm so grateful that, you know, not only having him as a mentor and being able to know him very closely and you know, within in more or less his family. It's just, I always wonder, like, when people really know Freddie, how if you didn't have a store there and you weren't selling him, but my best advice from him was don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Just worry about you. Stop looking in the back mirror. Like, stop looking and worrying about you. Worry about your store, and you keep pushing that and keep pushing the envelope, because whatever you're doing it right. Just don't worry about what this store is doing and what that store is doing. The other was open your boxes on the floor. Energy creates energy. It's the people are seeing you open the box and they want to come in and see what's going on, and you'll have more sales when you're opening your boxes on the floor. And it's still, I still say that. It's like, no one wants to, people don't like opening their boxes on the floor, but it's like, swear to God, energy creates energy. And then, just people are doing something and like, what is that? And like, it gets people excited.
Yeah. 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 He was a great one. He was a great one.
Yeah.
And he was definitely the king of all garmentos. And I learned a lot from him. And I live in the Cross Creek area, so I always reminisce, back in the day, and going to John's Garden,
Oh,
and
best sandwiches ever.
The Scala was in the corner.
Oh, best
And
salad.
yeah, and surfing, and seeing, old Joe, the homeless guy back in the 80s. He was the first homeless guy in the country. So those are good times. And now I see it now, and it's just, retailers on top of retailers, and there's just a lot of noise out there. So it's different today.
So I will say this, because I follow your Instagram, and you post a lot from your other retailers. You guys, Katin in particular, does such a great job with build outs. And I think I commented on one of your pictures, like I forget what retailer you were in, and it was just like straight hangers and everything's folded perfectly. I'm like, yes, it's like, I love it. But you guys do a great job. And you had said you start people small, and then you build up. Do you create the fixtures yourselves? Or are you working with your retailers' fixtures, or how does that look when you start building the brand within the stores?
So we like to stick to our aesthetics, our woodsy kind of aesthetics and feel from back in the day, from the 50s and 60s. And like I mentioned earlier, we have an amazing marketing team, and they build everything from scratch.
Wow.
And with the, on our marquees, it's always old photos dating back to the 50s and 60s. So we're doing the storytelling at the build out level, along with the product. So we like to keep the consistency. We love wood hangers. We like things nicely merched and folded, because it just gives it more, value.
Yeah.
And we don't stack it to the ceiling. And so, yeah, there is an art behind it. And we have such an amazing internal team that executes that on the daily level.
Do you guys, when you sign a retailer, and do you have a booklet, or do you have a list of standards? Because obviously wood hangers, and like, do you have a list of standards that is an expectation that the stores are to look a certain way, because they're basically representing the brand?
Well, not really, but when we're selling an account, we're like, hey, if you love the brand and you love the product, we want you to buy it accordingly. And we want you to have it well curated. If you're looking to just kind of buy some little pieces here and there, then probably save your money for another brand. So the Katin brand sells best when it's well merchandised with the right products. So yeah, and we love wood hangers. Most of our accounts use wood hangers.
Tell everyone why you love wood hangers, because I can't tell you right now how much I hate to go in retailers and they've bought those cheap velvet covered hangers from Home Goods, or where they have miscellaneous plastic and those hangers. Tell everyone like the value that wood hangers bring.
Well, I think it goes back to what Fred Siegel said, no shortcuts. So if you're going to build a retail store, like, have pride in what you're selling. Like behind me, my collection, I show wood hangers when we're out showing. It gives more value, and it shows that you have passion for your product and that you absolutely love each piece. If you're, and then the end user, when they see it on crummy wire hangers or plastic hangers, the human condition tells them, this is probably not that good. It's probably
Thank you.
And that's a proven concept. That's proven, and because treat your business like you would treat your wife or your husband, and make it look great. Steam your product when you put it out on the floor.
Oh my God,
and,
thank you.
And it shows. And I know it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of hassle. And you've got minimum wage kids on the floor that are just waiting for their paycheck. But you've got to go the extra distance, and especially today, it's competitive, and you have to differentiate yourself from the others. So, wood hangers is the first step of showing your end user that you care about the product and you care about them.
Oh my God, thank you. That tidbit, I swear to God, please take everything away from that, because that's the one thing I don't think people realize, that when they don't, hang up the stuff right out of the box and there's wrinkles in it, or slap it in those crappy, that's literally like you're giving it the value that you're giving it. That is what literally how your customers are going to take it. It's like, I don't think enough people pay attention to that.
And I'll tell you, we take it a step further. Our shipping department is known in the industry for how we pack our boxes.
Really?
They are perfectly packed and laid perfectly. There's no wrinkles. And when you take out the product and you have your packing list, it's all in order. So it makes it easier for them, for the
Oh my
the
God.
internal team. They take it out and they have pride in it as well. And then they hang it and they're like, there's no hassles. So when you show the love and attention to your product, it just trickles down all the way from top to bottom. So, our team is, we get calls all the time. God, why do you guys pack these boxes so perfect? They're perfect and neat and in an order, and you don't ship me one small, two larges and an extra large. We don't ship broken sizes.
Oh
You
my God.
you have to have pride in what you're doing. And when you receive something, you want it to be perfect as well. So we have to treat it like we love it as well. So yeah, that's one of our greatest attributes that's not talked about all that much.
Well, I mean, it just like you said, like the wooden hangers, no one really talks about that. It's just, and it's like, I think, this is a retailer's podcast. And I think that one thing that I keep hearing from people, and I heard it a lot during the gift show, was like, we are learning so much from, and to me, this whole time, I'm like, it's been like this, it's been entertainment. I've been talking to people. It's like, what do you guys do? But what I'm really realizing is that so many retailers are learning so much from the tidbits that the guests are bringing. And that right there was pure gold. Like and I don't, because people don't realize it. It's like, I just assume it because like, I know that, and I just assume everybody else does, but it's really interesting to hear like how much people are learning from. And that, like I said, that little tidbit right there was gold.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other tidbits. Less is more. The retailers, they don't have to fill their store with 25 different brands.
Thank you.
If you have a nice collection of 4 or 5 brands that you get behind, that's all you need, because the end user, when they walk through your doors, they already know it's cool.
Yeah.
So you don't have to throw a bunch of stuff against the wall. And the end user notices that. They come in, they're like, wow, they got a lot of different things. Stick to your kind of like mantra or your DNA, and it will prove success.
I call that the garage sale effect, where it's like, I want to have everything in here. And it's like, what it does is it becomes not so cohesive. My dogs are going to start barking, so I apologize. So, but it makes it not as cohesive. And it's like, I feel like it's so much more curated. Hang on one second. They're usually not in the room with me. And they were like being calm. So I'm like, oh, okay, you can stay. Now you can't. Now they have to go. But I think that, Catherine, please edit that out. But I think that, it's that curation of something, and really, just that curating a cohesive statement is so much more important than packing it full of everything just because I want everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And Fred Siegel was the first to do that. They were like the masters I felt, of merchandising and having the right product on the floor and stuff that you couldn't get anywhere else. And that really drove the business.
Yeah, I miss those days. I mean, it's funny because I've had a couple of us from Fred Siegel on the podcast and talking about our days and the lessons that we all learned from our days there, because it's like, that for me was a major education, and I'm so grateful I had it, even though I went down in flames. But I'm so grateful for that education and that experience of being in that type of retail environment, because there's not much like it, if at all, anymore.
Yeah, yeah. But I do see a lot of these new retailers really doing a great job. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
traveling the country and I'm walking into certain stores and I'm blown away. And people are taking pride in their stores. At least all these new folks are, and it's really neat. And even the old dogs, they've had to make some changes as well and learn new tricks. So
So
pretty
tell
cool.
me, last couple questions, or tell me who some of your favorite retailers are and why.
Oh, I don't know. I have so many. It's so great. Again, we only sell the best of the best. And but I would say one of our favorite retailers is Stag Men's Shop in Texas, in Austin. They have multiple locations. They go back to the beautiful, well curated stores with product that you can't find. They're easy to work with. So yeah, I mean, we have a host of them, and I don't want to leave anyone out. I know I just gave them the big plug.
We'll list that. We'll list them, because retailers are visual. So I always try and we try and link stores, because like I said, I follow you on Instagram, and then
Yep.
you've posted some amazing stores. And I think there's a husband and wife team. I think they're in Florida. They just had an anniversary party or something like that.
Sure.
I think that's who it was.
Yeah, so yeah, sure, they're great. They have a couple locations in Sarasota, and maybe St. Pete's. They're high-end boutique restaurant, women's shoes. They have everything. They're great. They're another great retailer of ours. Hobie and Dana Point. Their surf boutique. They're great. So there's a million of them, and so.
I love seeing them. Well, I always ask everybody not everybody, but I'm trying to ask the last question is, what piece of advice would you give to new business owners? Gift or apparel?
Anything in retail, do your research, man. Location. We all get excited about new businesses, and we can get caught up with that, and we go, oh, I'm going to open up a new store and this is where I'm going to open it up, and it may not be that good of a location, but we get so excited, and we lose sight of really digging deeper, digging deeper on location, the rents, from net business to, monthly, to signing long contracts, brands, making sure you can get the right brands, because you may be a couple miles away from another retailer that you may not be able to get a brand. And then passion. Do you have a passion for it? Do you have a passion for product? Do you have a passion for people? Because you're going to be dealing with people every day, all day, every day, and you're going to have to overcome these objections and questions, and so you're going to have the information, and definitely have information on the brands that you're selling. Have the stories down pat, because an end user may not know what the brand is, but when you tell them a beautiful story about a brand, that's 90% of the way to the register. So it's not just buying product and putting it in your store and waiting for the people to come. It's a lot of work these days, and having a strong online presence, lots of great, beautiful assets, curation. It's a lot of work. It's different today than it was back when you and I were doing it.
Yeah.
So I'd say that the key thing is do your research, do your due diligence, sleep on it. Don't make any rash decisions. Take your time, and if everything lines up perfect, then you're in the business.
It's fantastic advice. And I don't want to end this interview without mentioning this, because you give back a lot. You give time. Your pet charity is Walk on Water, which is the most amazing charity. Please tell everyone a little bit about it, because I know you're heavily involved with that, and I don't want to leave this conversation without mentioning that.
Yeah, I mean, in life, I think we all have to find that thing that we can give back to fill our spiritual bank. internally. You know, I work in a really, it's a big business being in retail, and you need to have your outlets. And the outlet for me is the charity I've been involved with for 10 years is a Walk on Water. And I'm a board member, and I'm a surf therapist, and we work with children with all different needs, special needs, different spectrums. And we take them surfing. And when you have a child of any needs, it's a full-time job for the parents. So this is the time where the parents can come to the beach and pass their kids off to us, and they get to go surfing. And we've changed lives, all lives, through surf therapy. And I'm crying inside right now because it's a very emotional thing to give back that deep to these families. And we've had kids that have been with us for 10 years that have built so much self-confidence. You know, we build self-confidence in these young children, and where otherwise, you know, no one's really paying attention to these kids except for their families. So when they have outside entities of people that are loving them up and cheering them on, it changes their lives, and it sets them up for great success for the future. So yeah, we do about 12 events a year, East Coast, West Coast. We're heavily sponsored. Paul Mitchell is our main sponsor, and he's a dream angel of mankind. And without him, we wouldn't be able to have these events. We deal with about 1,500 to 2,000 families.
Wow.
And so we take them surfing on these days. We have 300 to 500 families come on any given weekend, and they get to come and get their hair done by Paul Mitchell's team. We have a full activation on the beach, you know, makeup, we do art, we do music, karaoke. So all these kids, they get to participate in not only surf therapy, but they get to engage with all these other departments that are on the beach. So it's a full day, and they go home completely exhausted. And the parents are forever grateful. It's like them going on a trip to the Bahamas by themselves, just that day at the beach, you know. So it's a great thing. So for anyone that's in our industry or anything else, having a great outlet and giving back is very fulfilling. And so
I say, you know, it's funny because I'm realizing as I'm talking to people, a lot of the conversation has been with guests that are giving back. And I've always say it, and I'll say it 100 times a day, is that I believe whatever you have, whatever company, however big you are or small you are, you have to find something to give back in some small way, whether it be time or money or whatever, like giving gift of goods, or giving back is the best thing you can do as a human for other humans. And it's, I love watching you and what you do with Walk on Water, and tell people how they can get involved on even the smallest level with Walk on Water to make a difference.
So yeah, volunteers are everything. So what we're doing for the volunteers is they're coming down, they're doing something great for others, but they're walking away with their spiritual bank filled for the day. So it's like instant gratification for themselves. They feel good for doing good for others. So when we have the volunteers, that's we can use the work or the helpers, and donations are always welcome. You know, we're self-funded, and so, you know, donations are great, but, you know, coming down and just cheering on the kids is great, you know. So we're walkonwater.org. So come check us out, sign up and volunteer, and we'd love to see you down there. But it's been great for me. It's changed my life because it takes me out of my own head. Because when I'm doing something for others, it gives me less time to think about myself. And so it's been great for me.
Dale, thank you so much for your time. I love this conversation. And again, like, I just love watching what you're doing. I'm so grateful for you to spend this time with me, because I just think your story and your history and what you do is pretty freaking amazing.
Wow. I appreciate that. And I appreciate that a lot. And thank you for having me.
Of course, I can't wait till this comes out.